Hey everyone, Timtra here, and today I thought I'd make a quick little tutorial for how I made my green screen for YouTube videos, as well as share some of the best practices I've learned through using it. So this thing's only set me back around 70 bucks, and it's just a PVC pipe frame with a green screen cloth attached to the top. The great thing about working with PVC is because you cut it to length, you can modify this design to fit whatever room you're looking at or whatever size frame that you specifically need. I recently checked the prices, and for this setup, as of recording, the PVC pipe is all around 55 bucks total, and the green cloth I bought is about $17. I'd recommend you get a cloth or canvas which has this little loop thing at the top so that you can hang it directly on the top bar. Otherwise, you're going to need to buy some clips to hold it up. Now, PVC pipe is usually used as a replacement for metal pipes, so you'll probably be able to get it at your local home improvement store. I went with 3/4 inch diameter pipes because they're a bit cheaper, but if you want a more stable frame, you could go higher than that. Now they typically sell it in 10-foot poles, so you're going to need to plan your cuts to minimize the amount that you're going to buy. In my case, I just did some napkin engineering like this to figure out what the dimensions of the frame should be. It worked out to 2 5-foot pieces, 4 3-foot pieces, and 4 1-foot pieces. Then I visualized the cuts like this. Like me, you might have a little bit left over for another project. An employee should be able to make these cuts for you in the store, so definitely check around before you buy it, especially if you don't have a vehicle capable of transporting 10-foot long poles. If they won't cut it for you, you'll need to buy a pipe cutting tool, which looks like this and typically costs around $10 to $30. And if you aren't an adult, definitely get one to help you out at this stage because these things can take a finger off if you're playing around with it. Going back to the pipes, you'll also need 4 3-way connectors, 2 corner pieces, and optionally 4 caps for the feet. Once everything is cut, all you have to do is plug everything in according to the blueprint. You could use a PVC sealant to essentially glue these pipes together, but then you won't be able to take this thing apart and move it around. It's more fragile and prone to come apart when you move it this way, but in my eyes, the ability to pack it up and move it around is well worth any stability benefits that sealing it would bring. And when it comes to the green canvas, make sure to iron it out if it has creases on it, because those could create shadows that will mess with the color keying. Now, if you follow these steps, you should have your very own green screen, so here are some tips to actually use it effectively. The number one priority is keeping an even color across the whole screen, so you're going to want to have consistent lighting. You might want to buy some lights like these, which I got for around 50 bucks on Amazon. As you can see here, this is kind of how my setup looks like normally when I record. That's where my camera is on my desk, and then I space the lights around here on the floor. Something to keep in mind is that you don't have to directly point them all at the screen. Light bounces off of surfaces, so by pointing one at the ceiling, you can have it reflect back onto the sheet much more softly and evenly. You also don't want to stand too close to the sheet as your shadows could change the shade of green and make it harder to key out. So my rule of thumb is to push the screen back or move a little forward so there's about a foot of space in between. If you're having issues like this where most of the screen is okay but some areas are fuzzing into view, that's an indication that a light source may be messing with the color. How much this happens could be partially determined by the editing software you're using. I use Magix Pro 10 and I find it's way more sensitive to variations in color than DaVinci Resolve or OBS. But if you're having trouble, make sure you check all potential sources of light. For example, maybe natural lighting is making things inconsistent, in which case, close the blinds and rely on your artificial lights to make things more even. I actually have a similar thing going on in my room. Right now I have the blinds closed, but let me show you what happens when I open them. Okay, so I've done nothing but open the blinds and just look at the difference it makes on the green screen here. The really bright light falling on it from the side really accentuates the waves in the fabric and makes these light and dark patches which are just going to be really hard to key out. Another problem could be that one of your lights has a slightly different shade from the rest of them and is throwing things off. For example, I found out through a lot of trial and error that this lamp near my desk was causing problems, and every time I had it on, certain parts of the green screen wouldn't work correctly. So just be pretty thorough in your troubleshooting and be patient because it might take a while to set up and it might take a while to get everything right, but once you do, you'll remember what you did and you'll be able to implement it so much faster next time. That's it for my tips though. If I think of any more, I'll just put them in a pinned comment down below. Hopefully you enjoyed this little tutorial and you found it useful, and if you did, consider leaving a like, it really helps me out. And if you're interested, this isn't really the type of content I usually do. I mainly make game reviews, so if you're interested in those, consider checking out the rest of my channel and maybe even subscribing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.